Hey everyone, welcome to our Go Lumio webinar series where we're providing continuous opportunities highlighting how Lumio can provide a fluid workflow that benefits teachers and students. We'll show you how to create lessons and activities focused on classroom instructional strategies. My name is Holly Shell, and I'm a digital content manager from Oregon. Shout out to Tina, who's also from Oregon, joining us here. This week's webinar is Amplify Learning, Unleashing the Power of Audio with Lumio. It features Laura Barr, a professional development specialist from Texas. We encourage participation. If you have any questions, please ask those in the chat during the presentation. I'll either answer them for you in the chat, or we'll integrate them into the flow, or hold them to be answered at the end. I'm also going to be sharing resources from today's webinar in the chat. And for participating today, you will get a survey you'll get a certificate after you complete a brief survey at the end of the webinar. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Laura so that we can dive into today's webinar, Amplify Learning, Unleashing the Power of Audio with Lumio.
Thank you so much, Holly, for that fabulous introduction. Welcome, welcome. Like Holly said, I'm Laura Barr from Texas. So I got some Texas peeps I recognize in our webinar today. First things first, I would love for you to join me in this just so you can see and experience some of the audio features that I'm going to be showing you. Also, for attending today's webinar, you are automatically going to be entered into this month's Lumio Challenge, which really is all about the audio features. So I'm going to give you some examples, and then I'm going to give you some time to be able to make and take, kind of create your own, be able to share that out. So Holly dropped in the chat my direct link, but if you want to go, you can click on that within the chat to join, or lumioclass.com, join as a guest, and then enter that class code 777097. If you'd rather just watch, that's totally fine. But again, feeling kind of how that feels with the audio, especially the instructional and the attached audio, it's nice to be able to play around on your own end as well. So I'll give you a few more seconds here, and then we'll get started. I'll go ahead and kind of drop my little my class code at the bottom. Holly has it in there as well. But let's go ahead and look at some examples. So first things first, I want to do a shout it out, and I want to know what are some ways that you have used or you would like to use audio within your classroom to support learning. So if you're familiar with some of the audio features within Lumio, what are some ways that you have used it in your classroom? If you would like to use audio, you have some ideas for it, and you haven't quite used it yet, let me know in the shout it out. We have someone who said student responses. Yes. So again, I can make these bigger and I can toggle through, letting students provide verbal explanations to explain their thinking. Oh, I love this one. I think it's so powerful, the multimodal experience that Lumio has, where you're able to respond, whether that be text, images, or whether that be our audio feature, giving students the autonomy to be able to choose to say words on a screen, to give audio instructions, yes, within phonics lessons or student responses, instructional audio. That one is a big one, especially if we have our students in stations or in centers, or it's an activity that we're wanting them to do asynchronously or maybe more independently. Having that instructional audio there to be able to, they can have you in their ear, they can listen to the instructions, but you don't have to keep repeating yourself. Game changer. Reading passages, line reader, yes, sometimes voices are better. Language translation, hearing the sounds, recording and adding audio to slides or activities, absolutely. Practicing pronunciation, great one, especially for English language learners, or if you're a foreign language teacher who's teaching a different language, practicing that pronunciation. Verbalizing examples, students reading a sentence after putting it together. Oh, I love that. Interactive listening activities, especially those directions ones where you have students follow your directions and see if they're able to kind of make the picture that you're doing in the end. Lesson instructions, feedback. Love that one. I love that one. Student, you can provide feedback as the teacher by giving attached audio, or students can provide feedback to one another. Instrument sounds. Oh, that's a good one. Love that. All right. So again, fantastic. You are absolutely on the right track. Sounds like all of you have used most of our audio features within Lumio. So I'm going to give you a few examples on the teacher side and the student side, and then we're going to have some make and take session time. So, really, again, if you're familiar with Lumio, even if you're not, I just wanted to highlight some of the ways that Lumio really supports that accessible and inclusive classroom. The instructional audio. So, like you guys said, you're able to provide alternatives to visual information. You're giving directions to stations or activities, really providing students with the ability to repeat too. They can listen to you multiple times until they really for sure understand what it is that they're supposed to be doing. It does provide that multimodal expression. So they're able to respond via text or audio or images or the pin tools. They can also attach audio themselves and be able to do that. And then that great one of my favorite features, the immersive reader. So really supporting individual reading needs, helping students access grade level text, whether that be, for accommodations, IEPs, English language learners, things like that. So just multiple ways that students can engage, they can express, they can take action with their learning. So here are some examples of using the audio features on the teacher side. So these examples are going to be ones where you would set up instructional audio or different audio pieces for your students to then finish the activity. So for this example, it is a individual handout. So I'm going to go ahead and click start, and you guys are going to be able to on your screen press resume or start. There we go. Awesome job. And then this is an example. I like this one. And I'm kind of thinking, even for my fifth graders, that's what I taught when I was teaching for 13 years. And it's directions. It's really like, how can they listen and follow directions? This one is about shapes and positional words, but you have your instructional audio there. So as students are listening to the instructional audio, they are going to be dragging and dropping those shapes where the directions tell them to. So I'm kind of going to show you examples lower, like primary grades on up. So if we played this, I'll give it just a
Start
little
by
bit.
taking the square and placing it in the middle of the page.
So again, middle of the
Now
page,
take the circle and put it above the square.
above the square. I'm not going to make you listen to the whole thing. On your end, you certainly can, but it's giving directions on how to move those shapes, shape identification, positional words, think prepositions, things like that. So again, instructional audio, great way to have students respond. As a handout, I can pop in. Look, Miranda has already had a check mark. So she's been listening and she is able to move the shapes and the directions. So I can quickly at a glance look through and see, did my students get the same picture going? Were they able to follow those directions and positional words? Awesome. Pamela did that as well. So again, individual handout, don't have to stand at the printer. I can have them listen to those instructions and then be able to provide feedback. So one example, I also wanted to show you how you are able to use those game-based activities, but still provide that instructional audio. So if you were thinking instructional audio really is only in the activities or graphic organizers, that's not the case. You can add instructional audio with our game-based activities as well. So here's an example of a super sort. Students are going to be sorting words that start with D versus words that start with F. Again, the directions are there. So I can have
Hi,
my
friends.
kindergartners
Today we're going to sort pictures. Some
give them instructional audio on how they're able to sort those. And then they're going to see, oh, okay, if I have it and it works, it goes in the house. If it's not if it's incorrect, it's gonna come out of the house. Again, here I can see with my student dashboard, I picked this one so you could get some data too. So again, I have that instructional audio for the teacher side. My students are able to independently review a concept in a fun way. Students love playing these games. And then I'm able to pull some data. So I can export these results after all of my students have completed. I can export the results to an Excel spreadsheet so I can really see which students maybe had trouble with the words that start with the letter D or words that start with the letter F. Again, I can go dive deeper into my students, and no one probably did any. Here's Holly's right here. I'm going to pick on Holly. I can even drill into the student and kind of see, okay, how long did they spend on this activity? What was their first attempt, which is super important because, again, they can move them and reset the game and they could play the super sword again, but it's going to take the first attempt as the score that they're doing. So Holly did fantastic, 8 out of 8, and I can see which ones she responded to. And I can do that for each one of my students that are in this. So I wanted to show you an example of a game that not only gave you data, but it also, I wanted to show that you could use the instructional audio piece for game-based activities as well. So it's not just those activities or individual handouts, whole class whiteboards, things like that. Here is another example. This would be if you wanted to add audio to objects. So you've seen two examples of that instructional audio. This one right here actually has both pieces. It's going to have the audio for instruction and then the audio for attached objects. Tina, can you use the audio to the game pieces? Not currently. That is coming. So, good question. So, again, what you could do is think of an activity, maybe where they're dragging and dropping and they're sorting. And if you were creating an activity of dragging and dropping, and I can show you an example of that, you could then use detached audio like I have here. So, this attached audio, you can attach audio to an image, to text, to an object, all different sorts of activities. So, this one would be an example of measuring. Students would listen to step number 1, and then they would listen to step number 2. You also have instructional audio there as well. So I'm going to give you some time to kind of listen on your own to hear what those instructions are. But again, it's just measuring. So taking things, practicing, measuring on a ruler, and then typing in how long, how many centimeters this one is. So this would be 3 centimeters. So I could go over here and I could say 3 centimeters. So I could have my students be working on that. And again, I can look within here to see how students are doing. Are they moving things around? I could provide them feedback. There we go. We got people moving them around, things like that. Candace, oh, Candace has her check mark. I love it. Look at her. She's done that. So, and Candace, I'm going to pick on Candace because I know her. If I wanted to give Candace some feedback right now, I could give Candace a fantastic little sticker, but I also might tell Candace something like, don't forget your unit of measurement. And I'm just picking on Candace just so you could see. But am able to pop in and give that instant feedback too. I also could have recorded myself giving that feedback as well. So again, lots of different ways that I can provide feedback for my students by doing this. So just another example. I'm gonna keep moving so that we have some time to play. And here's another one. Looks like Miranda didn't was yeah, we'll check on the instructional audio. We'll see. Here's an example of one if you were attended the last webinar, I was talking all about test prep and how you can use Lumio for test prep. Miranda, I'll go back and check and see that instructional audio error and how you can use this for test prep. So again, I know in the state of Texas, we have some students need their questions and answer choices read to them. So here would be an example, bringing in a math question. You can provide that audio of reading that question, reading those answer choices to them. And then as an activity, students can move their answer choice to the correct answer. So again, attaching whether that be to an object, to some text, or to a sticker or an object or an image, lots of different ways. Candace has already done her $1.60. Fantastic job. So just different ways on the teacher side of things that I can pre-load some of those audio features, instructional audio, attached audio, things like that. When we give typed feedbacks, can students use? Yes, great question, Miranda. Yes, you can. So Miranda's question was, when we give typed feedback, so like I gave Candace that typed feedback, she asked if we could use Immersive Reader to have it read to them. The answer is absolutely yes. Immersive Reader is over in this toolbar right here, and I do believe I have Immersive Reader coming up soon. It's down there. So I'm going to show you Immersive Reader when I get there in just a second. But yes, Immersive Reader, Miranda, definitely can work if you add typed feedback. All right, so here are some examples on the student side of things. So this would be where you guys, as the students, would be able to respond using that audio feature. So, this is an activity called positional words. I think this is fantastic for anyone doing prepositional phrases, prepositional words. You have your instructional audio there, and what it says to do, and I'll let it play. In this activity, you get to decide where to place the objects in the picture. Click and drag each object to any spot you choose. Once you've finished, record yourself describing your picture using positional words. So you're going to be choosing where you want these things to go. Oh, I'm going to put him in the basket. And maybe I'm going to put that one there. And I'm going to put the umbrella over here. And maybe the dog toys under the table. So you're choosing where you want to put them. And then the directions say that you are going to be describing your picture. So the dog's toys are under the table, the books are on top of the table. So, how you would add your audio as a student for a response is you'd go to your student toolbar, the little widgets with the heart, the plus sign, all the things. It's going to default you to stickers. You're going to have shapes. You're going to have this is where you could upload images. You have links that you can add, but this very last one, this microphone, add an audio recording. So you can record audio. One new feature, if you haven't seen it in a while, is this little minimize sign, this little minus sign. Before it kind of covers things. So it was hard for students to be able to see behind, especially if they're having to give directions for an activity. So if I click on this little minus sign, you're going to see that the toolbar has now minimized. I'm able to still see what I'm working on. I can use those 6 dots to move the toolbar around. And when I'm ready to record, I can do the little attached audio. So I could say, the toys are under the table. I can say add, and then this little guy right here can get added next to the toys that are under the table. So I can do that multiple times with attached audio. I can go back to my audio, record, and then that's how my students can turn in this activity. All right. Looks like Holly has some questions in the chat, so she's working on those. Love it, Holly. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, here is another one. Fantastic. Reading fluency. We know that we have our students read to us. Let's say we have a big group and we're wanting them to practice a passage. Maybe this is the second time they've seen it and I want to send them off to have them practice their reading fluency. So the directions are you're going to record yourself reading and then you're going to draw a picture that matches the story. So again, my students could grab that audio, they could press record, make it smaller, and then I could have my students read that text for fluency, save that audio recording, and then I can have them draw a picture that matches it. They could draw a picture, they could use images from the Being Safe search, but lots of different ideas that you can use for students to be able to respond verbally. Reading fluency is one of the big ones. So, again, an idea for you to use if you are wanting to practice and have your students practice that attached audio. Let's go to another one. Let's say cancel. Here's the little math version for you. So we had some ELAR versions, but here's some math for you. So we have a math problem right there. Again, what I would do is I would have had audio linked right there to have read that to them. I also could have turned my immersive reader on. So there you go. That immersive reader right there is going to read that problem for them. And then I can have my students work it out, model it on in this space. And then the directions are record yourself explaining your reasoning. So again, they're going to explain why their fraction model matches the problem that is given to them. This template right here came from Lumio, it came from one of our manipulatives. It's our fraction bar manipulative. And so I didn't do anything except add the problem and add those directions on recording yourself. So just another idea for you to play around with as you're kind of going through the different audio features. All right. Here's one if I have any language teachers or language learners. I know in Texas we have students that are taking TELPAS, so they're having to be scored with their speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And so here's a language practice. Here's an image right here, and it says record yourself with a sentence or question that this student might be saying to you. So again, giving you that language practice, having your students be able to do that, just lots of variety of ways that you can have your students use the attached audio. Love that, Elizabeth. Yes. Mhm. All right. And then here is that immersive reader bringing in a PDF on the side. Now, on your end, you're not going to see this because I didn't make this PDF whole class, or I didn't convert it to an activity that you guys have. So it's just on my screen. But you might have noticed when you were in some of those activities, this book with the speaker is your immersive reader. So this right here is going to give your students tons of accessibility with accessing grade level text. So again, when I bring in a PDF, I turn on my immersive reader, I'm able to click on any of the text that's visually there, and here is my immersive reader. Now let's see, deposition. It's not good. I wish it had, I should have picked another paragraph so that you could seen it. Again, press play, simply reads to them. They can change the speed, change the voice selection, which we know is important to students. But one of my favorite features is up in the reading preferences corner, you can translate it to lots of different languages. So if I have a student that is Spanish, I want to translate the document. Now I have my students that are able, will any PDF work? Yes, as long as you bring it in editable, Miranda. Spanish and the original. So I can toggle between the two. Maybe I have my students, they're reading this, but they're like, ooh, I think that word is pieces, but let me check in my native language and see. Oh, yep, that's what it was. So again, we can toggle back and forth. Some other features that are accessible, you have text size. You have different overlays. We can increase or decrease the spacing. So just lots of ways to make text accessible, especially when you have students who are needing to access grade level text. You could even have this PDF there. They could have the immersive reader. They could listen to it, and then maybe they want to respond with the audio, giving a summary of the whole passage or giving a fun fact that they learned from their reading. So just lots of options in terms of audio features within Lumio. So here's where we're going to go to kind of the make and take side of things. I'm going to give you about, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes, and I put some ideas on the screen. Again, for attending this webinar, you automatically are entered into our Lumio challenge this week, but I want you to practice making an activity. So maybe you want to provide some instructional audio. You find an activity that you like and you want to add some instructional audio to it. Or maybe you have an activity that you use in Lumio, but you want to have students respond using attached audio. So maybe you're going to have that direction added to your activity. Maybe you want to have audio with draggable elements. So you're going to be dragging audio to different pieces. Or maybe you just want to try importing a PDF that you're going to be able to use Immersive Reader with. So lots of different examples for you to do. What you're going to do is you're going to leave my class and go into your own personal Lumio. So those 3 lines up at the top, you're going to press leave class, and then you're going to go to golumio.com, or how you typically get to Lumio. Want you to go there. It looks like I had some people leave me, so that's perfect. Awesome. I'm going to give you guys about, let's say, 7 minutes. If you end up creating something, let me show you. I'll create something really quickly and then I'll show you. But if you end up creating something, share it in the chat with us. We'd love to see what you end up creating. So if you are someone that's following along, maybe you just want to watch and observe, totally fine. I'm in my Lumio. Maybe I'm going to start something new. And let's see, maybe I want to choose a graphic organizer. Lots of graphic organizers. Again, we have ready-made resources that are available to you. And maybe I'm wanting them to do some brainstorming, but I'm going to want them to do it on their own, and I want them to do it independently. So I'm just going to go to new. I went to graphic organizer. I'm grabbing the brainstorming web. I'm going to let it load. And then again, some of those options, I could add instructional audio. I could add attached audio. all the things. When you're in editing mode and you want to add instructional audio, it's the speaker guy right here. So when I click on that, you're going to see add instructional audio. I have up to 5 minutes that I am able to record. So plenty of time to get all your directions in. So maybe I want to add instructional audio that says something like, we're going to be studying different habitats this week. Use the brainstorming web to think about all the different habitats you already know. Simple as that. Here's my instructional audio. Maybe I want to put in here habitats. I could spell it correctly. Gonna give it some, let's see, let's go Poppins. We'll go bold and we'll make it bigger. And so maybe I have my habitats here. Now, one trick of the trade, if I don't want my students to move something, then I'm gonna make sure that I lock it in place. So now I have this brainstorming web. I might have lost my instructional audio, it looks like. Somehow that went bye-bye. I'm gonna say cancel, so let's see. Might go back and see if it'll add it back again. Where did you go? No. There it is. Oh, Holly, you saw it there. Is it there? It keeps popping on me. I'm like, I know it's there. Okay, we're just gonna say instructional audio. Just we're gonna let it sit there. Okay. I have my instructional audio there, and I'm gonna change this to an individual handout with my instructional audio, and I'm gonna say finish. So again, quickly added something that has some instructional audio. But I'm going to give you, it looks like Holly put lots of ideas for audio features in the chat. Love that. So we're going to give you guys just, let's say, 4 more minutes. I can show you how to do the teacher share link if you need to. But here are some ideas, and then drop that in the chat. If there's something else you want to see, maybe how I did attached audio and anything, you certainly can add that in the chat and I will add that for you as well. But give you some work time, see what you're working on. You know, many of you are active in our ambassador platform and in our Facebook group. So whatever you create here today, be sure that you share it with others. We love to learn from each other, and I know that you guys are super creative. Oh, Candace. Oh, I love you. Candace has sentence building in the chat. Let's take a look and see what Candace did. I'm going to hop over and I'm going to do an incognito web just so I can kind of see what she is. I might be able to join as a student. I probably didn't need to do that, but I just want to make sure it doesn't kick me out of my lesson. Sentence building. Oh, Candace, you're amazing. I love that. Use the microphone to read your sentences aloud. So she's going to have them build sentences and then record themselves reading it aloud. Ugh, look at that. Pamela's like, thank you, Candace. Candace, you're amazing. Appreciate you. Love that. Holly dropped in the chat if you're not an ambassador yet to please join us. Absolutely. That is where we get so many great ideas. The wealth, the knowledge in the room is all of you, not us. You are the experts in the trenches. So all of those things you are there creating wonderful things. So please don't be afraid to share that with others. Amazing. So some next steps after you've created your activity is to share it on social. So go to your social channels, whether that be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Be sure you tag Lumio Social and then tag Go Lumio or Lumio Challenge. That would be a better one, to be able to kind of share and showcase and highlight. Holly also dropped in the Facebook group. Yeah, she's just giving you all the resources for you guys to have all the things so you can stay connected. And then again, joining those two things. So Holly has just given you the ambassador application if you haven't joined, and then also our Facebook group. Both of those are fantastic communities. And I know lots of attendees in our webinar today are a part of both of those. So we appreciate you being here. So those are some next steps. And then I wanted to make sure that you had this resource. Holly may have already dropped it in the chat, but it is a fantastic one-pager. Share it with your teachers, share it with friends who maybe are unfamiliar, share it with your administrators. These are all the ways that you can have that accessibility within Lumio. So just lots of ideas for you to be able to do, but also gives you those directions as well. So build the capacity across your campuses and across your district. I took a previous lesson I shared and added audio and wanted to give students more information, but the timeline was already too busy. The audio made it possible. I love that, Heather. I love that. Oh, Candace says, love this. I'm so happy, Candace. Here is, let's look at Heather's really quick because I just love showcasing you guys. Let's see. And I love that you took something that you already were using, absolutely, and just went back and added some audio features to it. That's amazing. Fantastic. So you said the timeline, and then you were able to have add audio there. I love it. Mine isn't quite done. Just started making it. Oh, Elizabeth, I love when you guys share these things. It's so cool just to see the creativity and what everyone's working on. Oh, Elizabeth shared you shared the student link, which is totally fine. I could join as a guest, but I am in let me go to incognito. This would be where I would need incognito, so I don't get kicked out of mine. So here is Elizabeth's. I'm going to join as a guest. And then let's see what we got. Oh, she said, there you go. Elizabeth's like, here's the teacher link. It's fine. I'm in yours now. Oh, that's very cool. And then which instrument family does this belong to? And then you have the audio there. Oh, so cool. I love that, Elizabeth. That's amazing. You guys are so creative. So did the sound bite for the instrument. Love that. All right, so here are a bunch of resources. You guys are amazing doing all the things, creating all the things, but we want to make sure that you have all the goodies. So we have a fantastic global community. That's what Holly has put in the chat for you, is that application to be a part of our global community. We have like Marit, who's from Finland here. So again, we truly are a global community. Anything you need to know about Lumio, anything you want to do to get started, or you want to find a quick one pager on how to do something, our website has all the resources for you, our Learn Lumio page. We also have a Lumio YouTube channel. So anything you can think of, you might hear Holly's voice on some of the videos there as well. She helps with those, but our Lumio YouTube playlist has anything you can think of as far as learning more. Our webinars, like you're in right now, so you guys have registered. We always suggest registering for the webinar, even if you can't attend, because you'll get the recording afterwards. So even for attending this one, you're going to get a recording about a week later, with that recording that you could share out to your teacher friends. And then we also have the academy. So I always know when I was in the classroom, I was needing to get those extra PD credit hours. So why not do some free self-paced coursework on Lumio? Maybe become a different level educator with Smarter Lumio as well, and kind of earn some PD credit as well. And then the last thing, all of our socials are linked there. The Facebook group is one we are always in, lots of people. I know Heather is always in there mentioning things, so we're very active in our Facebook group. And last but not least, here is your survey. So Holly is going to put in the chat the survey, and make sure you fill that out so that you can get the link to your certificate. And I think at this point, I am going to turn things back over to Holly.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura. That was such a so many fantastic ideas. I hope all of you were inspired on new ways to add audio. And I just loved all the ideas everyone was sharing in the lessons you created too. Such cool ideas just to spark some thinking on new ways to use these audio features in Lumio. So thanks so much for joining us today for our Go Lumio webinar. We love having you with us. I want to thank Laura for her insight on how to leverage Lumio's audio features to support all of our learners, to enhance engagement, add interactivity, all of those fantastic things. Make sure that you fill out the survey. I put the link in the chat, and you will be receiving a follow-up email with the recording for this webinar. You'll get that in the next couple of days, or maybe early next week, but probably later this week. We'll see. So be watching your inbox for that. So thanks so much again for joining us, and we hope to see all of you. Yeah, Pam, Laura just put that in the
Right
chat.
above.
Yep.
Yep, right
So
there.
yes, great,
You're
great
reading
question
my mind,
though.
Cam. You're reading. Oh, you're
No,
good.
no,
But I knew you guys would want it, and I'm like quietly doing it there.
Yeah. Yes, definitely grab Laura's file because she had so many fantastic ideas there for you. So fantastic. So thanks again for joining us. We hope to see all of you at another webinar very soon and have a fantastic day, everybody.
Bye, guys.